About a week ago, I had some really good discussions in some comment sections of Closer to Truth videos here on YouTube that I wanted to share. And I put the link to the blog post I made about it here on YouTube in the description box of this video. So the conversation started, I don't know, about 10 days or so ago on the video on the Closer to Truth YouTube channel titled Why Evolution Cannot Tell Us What is Right. And I didn't agree with that premise, and this is the comment I wrote in the comment section of that video. If evolution is understood as a natural and physical expression of utilitarianism, like I personally see it, since evolution seems to me at least, be a process or mechanism that maximizes procreation and diversity, which I equate in the sense of pleasurable physical fecundity and cultural creativity to forms of happiness, then deriving ethics and morals from it, of course always in moderation with calculating utilitarian fairness and with second and third order effects in mind, is most certainly philosophically appropriate and even advisable in my humble opinion. And then a couple of days later, Closer to Truth uploaded another great video titled Can Science Explain Ultimate Reality? And I had a very good discussion in the comment section of that video with a user named Fakir. And so I started off the conversation with this short comment of mine that Fakir then replied to and asked me questions about. And then we had a pretty lengthy conversation or discussion, which I will read off now. I think science can and already does explain ultimate reality. It's just that the natural sciences, like physics, just explain physical reality or matter, and the social sciences, like sociology and psychology, just explain mental reality, consciousness or mind. Therefore, in my humble opinion, science does explain and can explore ultimate reality, just through different disciplines and branches. Science thus is paradoxically a somewhat dualist but simultaneously a holistic philosophy. And then Fakir replied to that. You wrote that physics just explains physical reality and psychology just explains mental reality. If each one just handles its own part, what discipline explains the unity that lets you call both of them science? If the answer is another branch, then isn't that branch doing the ultimate explaining, while physics and psychology are just the parts? And if there is no such branch, what turns the dualist into the holistic? Since you wrote that science is somewhat dualist, but simultaneously a holistic philosophy. And this is my answer to him, my reply. Thank you very much for your feedback and your very precise and pertinent observations and questions. The answer is precisely that there is no such branch that turns the dualist into the holistic, and that's the pertinent paradox you pointed out so eloquently. However, since one can know what ultimate reality is, one can deduce from that scientific knowledge what ought to be, and that is the domain of moral philosophy, which can turn the dualist into the holistic. I personally have concluded that ultimate reality operates on the utilitarian principle of maximizing universal happiness through the evolutionary process by means of natural and cultural selection. I highly recommend to watch the following video here on YouTube about this topic titled, "Is Utilitarianism Intrinsic to Human Nature?" And then Fakir replied back to me again, "Thank you, that's a very honest answer, and I want to stay with it a little longer because I think the paradox you accepted is bigger than it looks. You said no branch turns the dualist into the holistic, and then you said moral philosophy does. Which one is your view? If moral philosophy is the unifier, it is a science, or is the unifier of the sciences something outside them? You also said one can know what ultimate reality is and deduce what ought to be from it. From which of the two, physics or psychology, did you get the is that moral philosophy turned into the ought? You then said ultimate reality itself operates on a utilitarian principle. If ultimate reality operates on a principle, is that principle part of the ultimate reality, or is it prior to it? And one last one, if you don't mind. Natural selection selects for reproductive success, not for happiness. When they diverge, and they often do, which one is ultimate reality actually maximizing? And so I replied to him again, to Fakir. Again, great question, Fakir. You're putting me through my philosophical paces. I see moral philosophy as an emergent but not fundamental holistic property or unifying conclusion of the dualism of physics, matter, and consciousness mind. And I get the is of ultimate reality from both. They are not mutually exclusive but complementary. I also see the utilitarian principle as part of the ultimate reality and not prior to it. It's part of its nature or essence. Personally, I see and define the ultimate reality as unconditional love. So, its only possible intention or goal is and can be the utilitarian maximization of universal happiness. Therefore, natural and cultural selection via the process of evolution in a way is deterministic, because there is only one possible outcome. But since the maximization of happiness is an open-ended, infinite possibilities of its realization into the future and evolutionary goal and process, it is, again, paradoxically, also simultaneously by definition indeterministic, and I equate physical reproductive success with the maximization of happiness, especially when second, third, or higher order effects and consequences are taken into account. So it's not a logical contradiction to me. Under this utilitarian infinite unconditional love framework, quantum gravity can be explained, and it was already scientifically proven or demonstrated, in my humble opinion, by Jeff Tolackson, who defined ultimate reality as a "I can have my cake and eat it too" type of existence and creation process. In this context, I highly recommend the interview Robert Lawrence Kuhn did with him that was posted here on YouTube as a video titled Jeff Tolackson, Physics of Free Will. Thank you very much again for your stimulating and penetrating questions and observations. And then Fakir again replied back to me, "Thank you. That is one of the most generous and open answers I've received in a long conversation, and I want to honor it by staying carefully with your own words. You said the utilitarian principle is part of the nature or essence of ultimate reality. What is doing the holding together of that nature? Is the nature something ultimate reality has or something ultimate reality is? You also said ultimate reality is unconditional love. When you say that, do you mean the reality itself loves or that we ought to love it? I ask because those are two different sentences and I could not tell which one you meant. If it loves, is love a physical quantity, a mental one, or something the two branches you started with do not quite reach? You said the process is both deterministic, one possible outcome, and indeterministic, infinite possibilities. At which level of looking is it the one and at which the other? Because I would love to look at that level too. And one small thing more, if you don't mind. Natural selection tracks children, not smiles. If the two ever come apart, and in real lives they sometimes do, which of them is the reality actually holding on to? I ask because I think the answers are already inside what you've written, and I would rather listen than press. Thank you again. This has been the best exchange I have had this week. And then I replied to Fakir one final time, and after that he didn't reply back to me. Thank you for your kind and generous words, Fakir. I think the answers are already inside what you have written. Precisely. Very observant of you again. Thank you again. This has been the best exchange I have had this week. Ditto. Wishing you a great rest of your week with hopefully many more win-win utilitarian exchanges and interactions like ours today. So that was a really cool debate and discussion we had, and I just wanted to share it also in a video format because I think it's very valuable and might inspire discussion and debate that can be very helpful. Okay, thanks again for your attention, and I hope you enjoyed me reading this exchange to you. Thank you.